want to introduce to you our candidate joining us here this evening who's running for Attorney General. Our next candidate has made a career out of taking on corruption, fighting for justice, which makes him eminently qualified, for some rather obvious reasons, to serve as our next AG. Throughout a career as a lawyer and mayor of Galveston, Joe has always chosen right over wrong, which is why he is so determined to restore integrity to the office of Attorney General here in Texas. Please help me welcome Joe Jaworski.
Thank you, Jonathan. And Javier, thank you. You are obviously ready to serve again.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Well, Lakeway, good evening. I'm Joe Jaworski. I'm a third-generation Texas lawyer. I'm a proud former mayor of Galveston who worked hard to rebuild our beautiful island community after Hurricane Ike. And I'm a proud Democrat who is running like hell to be your Attorney General. And I want to say to you, especially with reference to how we have been abused by the consequential office for so long, that this race, now that it's an open race, now that Mr. Paxton has finally jettisoned himself from the office, not because of impeachment or whistleblower exposure or criminality, but due to his own ambition, it's finally going to be an open race, no power of incumbency. So your choice in the Democratic primary is a substantial one. And this is a race about the true heart and soul of being a Democrat and of being a Texan. Because we believe, don't we, in justice that protects the vulnerable, not power that shields the corrupt. Yeah. We believe in laws that serve people, and they should be interpreted as such, not serving the legislators who write them. And we believe that truth wins when democracy is protected, when the public servants actually serve the public. Jonathan referred to my past service as Galveston mayor, and I'd like to give you a story about that. In the context of being an attorney for the last 35 years, it never dawned on me to serve in office. But there I was in Galveston, and I was so impressed with our realtor because he sold us this beautiful historic home that my wife insisted we move to from Houston. I mean, I was pretty happy with Houston. She was from Dallas. I'm from Houston. We met in Austin at law school. And I won the argument as to where we live. Because I didn't make her do anything. It was just where the jobs were. But she had the last laugh. Because she said, I want a historic home in Galveston. Yes, dear. So we moved down there. Little did I know, after purchasing the home in 1995, that our dear friend David Bowers would say, well, I'm term limited and I'm running for mayor. You ought to run for my seat. Just never dawned on me, so I did. And served on council from 2000 to 2006. A brief interlude running for Texas Senate, District 11. And then I ran for mayor. And what I want to tell you about this experience is something that I hope leaves with you tonight, that Joe does not back down from a fight. Because I assure you, the next Texas Attorney General, we have a real opportunity to put a Democrat in that office for the first time in 30 years.
Yeah.
And you do not want a collaborationist in that office. You want someone who knows how to take a punch and deliver back. And I am so sorry to use that sort of imagery, but that's what it's going to take. I'm 63 years old. I have a very good career right now as a daily mediator. I want you to know I make a living, and I'm doing fine. I'm not doing this for a career shift. I'm doing this for public service, like Javier referred to. So when I was mayor of Galveston, I was elected, and it was a wonderful victory lap. But Hurricane Ike had leveled our island. 80% of all buildings had been flooded. There was a great lack of resources within the city's budget to respond to this. We relied on FEMA. We relied on housing and urban development. Well, good news there. Our president had just become Barack Obama. Our Speaker of the House had just become Nancy Pelosi. The Majority Leader, Harry Reid. Yes, the hurricane happened in September 2008. Obama takes the oath January 20th, 2009. Our congressman at the time was Dr. Ron Paul. And our mayor, Lyda Ann, my political mentor, who was our Ann Richards, okay? I mean, just imagine the steel magnolia of Galveston Island. Lyda Ann Thomas. She went to the congressman. I was her mayor pro tem before I ran for the Senate, and he would not help us. He said, "I'm so sorry, I can't help you." Here's a little known fact about the recovery of Galveston Island. You can thank the Black Ministers Association of Galveston Island because they said, "Oh, hell no, Dr. Paul." And you know who they went to? The Congresswoman, Sheila Jackson Lee. The Congressman, Al Green, our man with the cane now. Texas Democrats delivered for Galveston Island, and I never will forget that. So when I got elected mayor, we had close to $1 billion of community development block grant money. This is for low to middle income communities, and I'm just here to tell you, all of Galveston is. No matter all the sparkle and the glamour that you see, it is largely a free and reduced lunch school population. There's pockets of poverty throughout the entire island, except for the West End. And so we qualified for this money, and some of it had been spent by the time I took the office. Housing and Urban Development called me and said, "Mayor, we call the highest elected official, even though you have a city manager form of government, we're counting on you to replace the public housing that was damaged." I said, "You have nothing to worry about." The decision I made, though, was to replace the cronies who had been on the Housing Authority Board, replace them with a young, diverse membership. And every time I would replace one, it was all in good faith. I didn't hurt anybody. But I put young, dedicated liberals on this board, and I would write a 500-word essay to the newspaper, which they religiously and regularly printed these things. And it would explain why I was picking this person. So when I had this perfect board of 5, we then pursued what's known as mixed income development. This is what Henry Cisneros had promoted when he was head secretary under Clinton. When I finally told people, here's how mixed income worked, you don't just build apartments back like had been built in the Kennedy and Johnson administration and put only income eligible tenants in, which predictably creates intergenerational poverty. You do mixed income, doctors and lawyers, nurses and firemen, police, and income eligible Galvestonians. What this required was 3 times the units. Now folks, I love my island, but the racists came for me. And even worse, the wealthy, doctors, lawyers, who had financial advisors who had told them the best income generator is to buy old homes and lease them back to the government under Section 8. Well, the racists didn't like the idea of more public housing tenants, and the wealthy who owned Section 8 properties didn't like the competition for these tenants. So they all came for me. And folks, I want to tell you, they tried to recall me. Oh, it was organized. And I beat the recall. There is nothing to promote the spirit in you than being recalled as mayor, I assure you. And I really hope that you guys Google Jaworski Galveston Public Housing and you'll see the whole story. Well, then they ran my opponent, and 2 or 3 copycats got in the race. So there were 5 of us running for my re-election. I defeated several of them, got to a runoff with Mr. Numero Uno opponent, and he had the leg up on me. We have a 30-day runoff in Galveston, and it was hot that year, 2010. This was the advent of the Tea Party. You remember, in November 2010, Obama's midterm, that's when all hell broke loose in Texas. So this was a few months after that. This was 2012, a couple of years. Ted Cruz was about to win his primary over David Dewhurst. You remember the atmosphere of politics. So these folks were all very adamant that we aren't going to have public housing, and Jaworski must be doing this to satisfy Obama or get a job. And I would never forget, 2 weeks before the runoff election, the cabal demanded a meeting with me. And my dear friend Teddy O'Rourke, who cared about me, but was very worried about all this, he said, "Look, I'm going to have the meeting at my house. You've got to be there." So, thank you, John. And so I showed up. And they said, "Here's the deal, Mayor. You drop your insane plan, we'll withdraw our candidate, and then you'll have your second term." I told them all to go to hell.
Whoa.
Then I called a special session meeting of the Galveston Housing Authority, and we signed the notice to proceed in front of the haters at the meeting. I lost my election the next week, but the housing got built. Quick PS, Jonathan. The mayor was invited up to HUD to plead his case, and the HUD secretary was Sean Donovan, Obama's roommate at Harvard, and he said, walked in the room, he said, "Mayor, please keep your seat, this won't be a long meeting. Congratulations on your election. We don't get involved in election outcomes in localities, but we've read your website. Everything on it is a lie. Here's a press release we've prepared. We've already sent it to your newspaper, and you're going to agree to this." He had no choice, because they would have clawed back $300 million and bankrupted the island. He came to me and apologized 2 weeks later. The housing is now built. It's 100% occupied. Children play. There's Halloween. There's Easter. Families are safe, because everyone deserves to come home. I tell you this story, Jonathan, because these are the stakes for Texas. And when you make your choice for Texas Attorney General, we've been abused long enough, and it's time for good government to restore in the office of Attorney General. Thank you.